Your life, your term show.
Okay, so you want to get rolling here?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get rolling. So I have the pleasure here of being with Darcy Griffith, a longtime Rockstar member, long time.
Yeah.
How long has it been?
I don't know. I think 99, 98, 99.
98, 99.
Something like that, yeah.
That you joined Rockstar?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Rockstar's only been around since like 2007.
Oh, sorry. I always lose a decade. Sorry, 2008, 2009.
That's Rain you're thinking about.
I apologize. I was never a member of RAIN, actually.
Okay, so I'm guessing you've been investing then since 98, 99 at least.
Been investing since 93.
93.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was born in 95.
So
you got quite a few years on my investing career.
we backed into it. We had bought a duplex with the plan that my mother was going to live in the basement and my wife Kelly and I were going to live upstairs. And then when it came time, we found our dream home in Orangeville, Victorian, and we went to sell it because that's what everyone does. You sell the house you're in to buy the new house, and we didn't have to. And they said, yeah, we can do that for sure. And all you have to do is pay us $5,000 and you'll clear the mortgage and you can move on. And I said, why would I pay you $5,000? Like, I own the house. And they said, well, you'd have to break the mortgage. There's penalties on that, the real estate commissions. We had been renting out the basement already. And I said, well, forget it. I'll just rent out the upstairs too. And we started real estate investing in 1994.
Wow. And then so at what point did you actually look at it and be like, oh, this is profitable or this is something I want to do more of?
Well, it made sense because we were renting the basement. We could see the income coming in. When we rented out the entire house, we realized it was profitable. It covered costs. Then we bought a triplex in Orangeville. We flipped a couple of properties in the Orangeville area. And then we relocated up to New Liskard in 2010 and sold everything off in Orangeville and repurchased up in the New Liskard area.
Okay, so that was through the 90s and the early 2000s. And you guys were both working then? Just working day jobs type of thing?
Yeah. Kelly's a nurse. She was working at the local hospital. I was in policing. And then 2010, I left policing. We had an opportunity to purchase a business up in New Liskard. Bought that, relocated up there, and then sold all the real estate in Orangeville and started repurchasing real estate up in New Liskard.
Where is New Liskard exactly?
If you go 2 hours north of North Bay, towards the Quebec border.
Okay.
So if you go to North Bay, turn left, you hit Sudbury. If you turn right, you hit New Liskard.
Oh, interesting. And so, how many people there?
About 11,000 in the area. There's a few smaller towns, all kind of make up the catchment area. So about 11,000 people.
Wow. And all your real estate investments are up there in that town of 11,000?
In Canada, yes.
Wow. Yep. Holy smokes. Okay. So you have to be like the kingpin around there. You got to be the...
Oh, no. There's much larger landlords than we are.
Really?
Yeah, there's a few landlords, a few companies, families that own a fair bit of real estate. No really giant corporations. Skyline has an apartment building up there, a few other things like that. But most of it is smaller, local landlords, local people that own a number of properties.
Yeah, just like mom and pop landlords.
Yeah.
And what's up there? Like, what keeps 11,000 people up there?
So we've got gold mining, a couple of fairly large gold mines within about an hour and a half. A lot of agriculture, a lot of farming, some manufacturing, and tourism in the summer.
Okay.
And then, people that live there often move away but want to come back. And some people that grow up there just don't want to leave. So it's, there's always people looking for housing. Huge shortage of housing in the area right now, actually.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I found that in Kenora as well.
Yeah.
My now fiance was working up there for like 6 months a few years ago, just as a dental hygienist, and housing shortage. I was shocked. Like, it was very difficult for her to find a place. She got fortunate to find one, but it was super stressful as she was going up there for just the 6 months. And then we discovered it's a big issue, and with especially a lot of traveling healthcare workers go up there, and they struggle to find housing. And I was like, this is in northern Ontario, like bordering on Manitoba, and there's a housing crisis up here too.
Yeah, we actually have a hard time filling positions for sort of more professional level positions simply because of the lack of available housing. People will apply for jobs and then realize they live in a hotel for 3 months, can't find a place to rent, and then end up leaving the community because of it.
Wow.
So it's housing crisis is spilling over into employee shortages in other industries.
Geez, that's not good. Have you built any housing there? Have you converted units? Have you built anything, developed?
Yeah, we did a couple of duplex conversions, and we did one single family home to triplex conversion up there.
Okay. Well, you're contributing to the cause.
We are trying.
So what's going on? How come people aren't building to meet the demand?
Part of the challenge is rents have gone up as they have everywhere else. Holding costs go up. We pay the same cost for electricity as they do in Southern Ontario. Land is a little bit cheaper, but your housing is still expensive. So the local kind of people that work there just in, kind of everyday jobs in fast food and manufacturing are having a really hard time affording the current rents. And so, everyone's worried about what it's going to cost to build. And if they build, because construction costs are higher up there than they are in Southern Ontario, it just doesn't cash flow. And because of the price point, depending on what you want, you could spend anywhere from kind of $250,000 up to $600,000 or $700,000 just for sort of a house in a subdivision up there, which sounds cheap. But if you're a working professional who's coming to the area long term as an engineer or a nurse, you can afford to buy any of those houses. So unless you see your visit to the area as short term and transitory, it's less expensive to purchase a house than it is to rent a house.
Yeah.
So a lot of the kind of people that come to the community with the higher end university educated jobs just buy a house instead. So
that was the case with Kenora as well, actually.
Yeah. So most of the rental stock is renting to people who aren't working professionals and don't have kind of the same amount of funds available to pay for housing. So.
Yeah, it kind of almost works not completely opposite, but a bit differently in the GTA, whereas renting is often a lot more affordable right now in the core GTA than owning.
Yeah.
And so you're almost incentivized to rent right now. At least I feel that way.
Well, and within our portfolio, we have some spectacular units, and then we have just some kind of regular quality units. So we have some A+ units, but also some B and C units, because that enables us to keep the price point a little bit lower. So it's still safe, it's still clean, it's just not as updated, and it puts it in a price point that a lot of the people that are looking for housing can afford.
Okay. So you found Rockstar when you were relatively close in Orangeville to Oakville. And so you're able to come to the events, and we were all in person back then, right? In-person classes and events and networking and everything. And then you moved up to New Liskard, but you never stopped being a Rockstar member. You kind of carried it on, and it's amazing to see you today still driving down from New Liskard for these events and everything.
Just the quality of advice and the quality of people within Rockstar just made it impossible for me to leave. I've never had a bad experience at Rockstar. I have been a member of almost every platinum group. I find incredible value brainstorming with other people and with Tom and Nick. I come to as many of the large Your Life, Your Terms events as I can. It's about a 5.5 hour drive down, so the VIP events on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night prove more challenging. I'm still running my business full time and doing a bunch of other stuff, so it becomes a challenge for me to kind of take 2 days away to come down for a 3-hour dinner.
Yeah.
But I come to as many of the things as I can on weekends. I still come down for all the platinum meetings. So yeah, it's very interesting. I don't see this perspective anywhere else other than Rockstar in the community.
Thanks for saying that. And just the real estate investing information that you learn here, do you find it generally applies up in New Liskard as well?
Yeah, in broad strokes. There's a lot of focus here. The majority of Rockstar members are GTA. So there's a lot of focus on, what's the neighborhood in Hamilton, what's, happening in Oshawa, what are rents like in St. Catharines. So those aren't necessarily as relevant.
As applicable, yeah.
But the talk about how to do a conversion from a single family to a duplex. The other thing that I find great value in is, kind of pacing myself against what other people are doing, if that makes any sense. So I can look down here and say, wow, I really feel like a slacker. I need to pick up the pace of what I'm doing. Or, of course I can do a triplex conversion. I've just listened to 10 Rockstar podcasts and have conversations with people, and lots of people are doing these conversions. So it's a learnable skill and something that I can do. So I find Rockstar both, has people that enable me to kind of follow in their footsteps and be pulled towards them. and at the same time feel like I've got a big pack of people behind me pushing me forward. So
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Push and pull motivation, I guess.
yes.
In New Liskard, what type of strategies have you implemented? What type of properties? What has been your niche?
So most of ours are single family homes. We have done a single family home to triplex conversion. We've done a few duplex conversions. We have a fourplex. We bought a 7-unit building up there as well. And so really we have bought for cash flow. We didn't have the same amount of appreciation and growth. So we had always purchased thinking, you know what, we're going to cash flow $400, $600, $800, $1,000 a month, and we're going to put that aside. And then I just rolled, the income and profit from one into buying another one. There was a sweet spot early 2010s where we had gone to Scotiabank and said, we'd like to get more mortgages. And the bank manager said, 20% down, I'll get you as many mortgages as you want.
Wow.
And we bought 8 in a year.
Damn.
So, when the light's green, you just have to go.
You just go.
Yeah. And then we were also fortunate. Other people weren't as fortunate because we were buying power of sale units. But nobody else seemed to be wanting to do that up there. So we were buying properties, power of sale, putting in the cash for renovation, refinancing and pulling back all of our investment in it. Still having enough equity left over for the 20%, and then it would start cash flowing, much smaller cash flow numbers. But now they call it BRRRR. At the time, I called it getting a free house. So
yeah, the BRRRR thing was more recent.
Yeah, and so we did a whole bunch of those where we were able to renovate it, bring up the quality of the house or the stock, and then get really good tenants in it and make less on a yearly cash flow or a monthly cash flow basis. But when you get it for free, you can afford to make less.
Yeah. So how were you actually acquiring the power of sale properties? Were these all through auctions?
Off MLS.
Oh.
They were listed on MLS. The first property we bought was listed on MLS, not a power of sale. And we found it. And when I ran the cash flow numbers, I realized we were buying it for $128,000 back in the early 2010s. And it was going to cash flow $1,400 a month.
Damn.
And we got our realtor to write the offer. And we put in 14 days for financing, and nobody balked at it. And we were the first people to get in to look at that. And it took us 3.5 days to get in to see it. And we wrote the offer, and we had 14 days. And it wasn't until almost a week later that other people started wanting to write offers on it. And I thought, nobody's seeing the opportunities that exist here. We had come out of Orangeville where the margins were tighter and there was a lot more competition for the good properties.
So you're bringing a fresh perspective there.
Yeah, and so we were able to move faster than some of the other people and see things because of where we had been in Orangeville that perhaps a local community hadn't. And that lasted for a few years, and then it rolled from that into buying power of sale houses, and then it rolled from that into buying out the portfolio from a private real estate investor who was in his 80s and looking to downsize.
Oh, interesting.
And we bought a lot of his properties. He had been kind of hands off for a while, and so they'd been allowed to drift. So there were drug dens, there were fentanyl manufacturers, there were people that ran from the police and were on weapons charges. One of the units we took over, we pulled out over 1,000 hypodermic needles once we got him evicted.
Damn.
And it took 6 or 8 months to stabilize, but we got it at a great price. You just had to be willing to put the time in and go through the process in order to accomplish it. And so I find the strategy has changed. So when one stopped working, you'd look around and find something else that kind of met the need I had at the time, and we just continued to roll that forward.
And you said you used to be in policing, so you were a police officer?
Yeah, I worked for a university police service, so we were sworn peace officers. We were special constables.
Yeah, I imagine that background would be helpful with getting rid of the fentanyl labs and the and the drug dens. I feel like you would just have maybe more confidence going into that situation than the average investor.
Yeah, and it's a longer term perspective. So you realize that at the price we acquired it, you could afford to take the longer approach. You didn't have to try to get them out in the next 8 days so you didn't kind of lose everything. You could take the 8, 9, 10 months, a year that it took to work through it. And a lot of that was during COVID when you couldn't evict for anything other than urgent or I guess imminent danger or some phrase.
Oh, this is just in the last few years that you took on this portfolio.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And you were able to get them out just by following regular Ontario landlord tenant board practices?
Yeah.
Eviction notices?
Yep.
Yeah. Did it go the full route where you had to get a sheriff in and ultimately get the place?
For those, we didn't. They left voluntarily. One required a sheriff from there, but we've had 6 sheriff evictions over the last kind of 5 or 6 years across the portfolio. So
okay, is that something more recent you're seeing? Is
the most recent one for us was last month. We finally got somebody evicted for non-payment of rent, and but we've been doing sheriff evictions probably since about 2015-16 was probably the first one.
Okay, so do you notice any trend with that, or not really? It's just is what it is.
It's when my wife has a big heart. Nursing is a caring profession. And so she likes to try to help as many people as she can. And so it is sometimes renting to, tenants that your head says may not be the best choice, but your heart says, hey, these people really need a break.
Yeah.
And we've had a whole bunch of those people turn out great.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've had a number of those people not turn out as great.
Got it.
Where there's more damage and non-payment of rent, and they backslide and get back into drugs and
so what is the tenant quality up in New Liskard like? Like it's a smaller town, like it's just such a smaller pool of people, I guess, than I'm used to in terms of finding a tenant. So I imagine you'd come across the same people applying.
Yeah, and everybody in town seems to know everybody else in town.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you can often get informal feedback. You will know people who are renting or have rented to them before or who have been there. But yeah, they're just standard working class people in a lot of cases. There's a number of people who are on disability pensions or on social assistance, and many of those are awesome people. Some of them, unfortunately, take advantage of the system as well, and those people we have to move along. In COVID, we saw a lot of people move up out of the GTA. People that were renting a 1-bedroom apartment somewhere in Toronto and would come up and for the same price be able to rent a 3-bedroom house up in New Liskard with a yard. And so they were just ecstatic that, they weren't trapped in a condo with windows that don't open and no balcony, and they could come and, get grass in their toes and to have their kids run around the backyard. So we saw a lot of people kind of relocate up just to gain more space for the same amount of money.
Yeah, that far even. Because it's 5, 6, 7 hours out of Toronto?
Depending on where you count, you're 5.5 hours, yeah.
Okay. And have you seen an exodus of those people since COVID has ended?
Most of the people that moved up there weren't the work from home folks. They were people that were maybe on a full-time WSIB pension, weren't looking to have to return to the office. They were just, kind of paid, and they would be supported forever because of what had happened to them. And so they're happy to be up there and, have a place where they can have more space.
Yeah. Okay. So at some point you've purchased a property in Italy and you've purchased a property in Mexico, which is a lot sexier and more exciting than maybe, the typical rental story and the drug den.
Yeah. Well, these things happen.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Yeah. Just real estate investing.
So
yeah, what's the story with, maybe we'll start with the Italy property.
Yeah. It really is my wife's fault. She left me unsupervised on a weekend, and she went to work, and I was home, and I was bored, and we love travel, and I really enjoy real estate. And so we subscribed to International Living Magazine. You get emails out from them. And one of it was, for €500,000, you can buy this in Spain, and for 400,000, you can buy this in France, and for 280,000, you can buy this in Italy. And I clicked on a link to an ad to a link and dug my way down the rabbit hole until I landed on a website. It was kind of like a Century 21 or a Royal LePage website where you could put in search functions. And it was AbruzzoRuralProperty.com. And I said, well, look at that. I'll want to, if I'm going to get a place, I might as well get, and I had no intention. I was just banging around bored on a Sunday afternoon, killing time. And I thought, I might as well get a I'll get a mountain view. Oh, I can choose a sea view. Let's get both. It might as well be furnished. I'll get a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. I'm not the king. Like, we could share.
Yeah. It's like building a car for fun.
Yeah. And then I'm like, yes. And then you realize, there's sort by lowest price first. And it pops up and, there's 16,000 euro properties that people are living in. And so we found one for 19,000 euros and we bought that one because it showed the picture of the sea view in the listing. And all the rest of them said they had a sea view, but didn't include any photo of it.
Yeah.
And
you bought it right from the website?
Well, yeah. So I emailed it to my wife and said, why the hell don't we already own this? And she said, like, it might be a scam.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but we've lost 20 grand on way stupider stuff than this.
Sure, yeah.
And so I emailed the brokerage and said, hey, so I'm Canadian. I have no right to live in Italy. I do not speak Italian. Can I buy it? How much is it going to cost? What are the closing costs going to be? How much is it going to cost for me to own it? What are the property taxes? What about utilities? How would it work? Because it has municipal water and sewer. It has electricity and gas already connected. And they emailed me back a buying guide and said, yeah, we do this for people all over the world. This is what we specialize in. So here's our buying guide. And you're looking at these costs. And we went, yeah, okay. And she said, if you want, we can just schedule a live walkthrough, a video walkthrough of the house. And so we booked it. They were swamped, took them 2 weeks. But we walked through it and went, yeah, that looks amazing.
Wow.
And so we, sent
this was
the
like
money.
a FaceTime call?
Yep. Yeah, it was WhatsApp video, but same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they spoke English? Like all the communication was in English?
Yeah. So the head of the brokerage speaks English. The person she put us working with, she had said, oh, you're from Canada. What part of Canada? And I said, well, Ontario. And she said, oh, whereabouts in Ontario? And I said, what's it matter? You don't have any idea where we are in Ontario.
Yeah. I'm in Ontario. I don't even know where you are in Ontario.
Yeah. And
I've spent my whole life here.
Yeah. And she said, no, my grandmother and my mother live in St. Catharines. And I said, oh, I grew up in Niagara Falls. And so then we talked about the Niagara Region. She said, I come over to visit them quite a bit. Yeah, they moved over there.
Oh, wow.
So then you felt a little more confident that it was maybe legitimate.
Sure, yeah.
They sent us, there's a TV show called International House Hunters. They were the brokerage in one of the episodes helping somebody find not a 19,000 euro house, but a 250,000 euro house.
Got it.
And so you feel a little more confident that it's legitimate.
Yeah, or it's a really well-crafted scam.
Right.
Like and really well done. Production team, TV show, everything.
That's right. So yeah, we got hooked up with a notary over there. We sent the funds over to the notary. We flew over, signed everything in the notary's office. In Italy, everyone has to sit down at the same table. So the buyer has to be there. The purchaser has to be there. Everybody in the same room with the notary.
With pasta? Do you have to eat together?
We didn't, but boy, I would eat anything. That food is amazing.
That's a very Italian way to sign a property closing.
Yeah. And then
break some bread.
We got the key and drove over and moved into it that night.
Wow. And so the notary is a lawyer?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you're notarizing the offer?
Yeah, he finalized everything, and then he has to notify the tax authorities to change it so that it all gets taken care of. And
you're allowed to, as a foreign resident, purchase a property?
Yes. Yep. No restrictions whatsoever.
Wow. And what about restrictions to travel there? Just normal travel visa type stuff?
Yeah. So it's, I believe, 3 months at a time. You can go for 90 days just as a tourist visa.
Okay. You have to get that approved? Like you can't just book a flight?
You currently don't.
Yeah.
But they've been talking about bringing in the equivalent of the U.S. ESTA, an electronic travel document. You have to fill it in online, and you're supposed to approve it within a week, and it costs you 8 or 10 euros is what they're saying. So they've bumped that. New date is 2026. But
okay. So, got it. So it isn't really enforced.
It will be once it's in place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a lot of things government do, it is not being implemented as seamlessly as they would hope.
Yeah. I love taking jabs at the government. Small, subtle jabs. Okay, cool. Wow. So then you bought it for, you said 19,000 euro. So I don't know, what's that roughly?
At the time, it was almost par. We paid about 21,000 Canadian.
Oh, come on. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, what is that, 30? So,
our property
holy
taxes
smokes.
are 168 euros a year. We get
Seems expensive.
That's right, which is about $150 a year. We're in a small village. It's 400 people. We're 28 kilometers from the Adriatic coast. We can look out our master bedroom window and see 28 kilometers of rolling hillside with the Adriatic in the background.
Wow.
We get home garbage recycling, compost pickup 6 days a week.
Wow.
When you're there.
Holy.
If you can't wait, you can just take it down and put it in their bins within the village.
If you can't wait the 24 hours.
Yeah. And we were the third group of Canadians to purchase in the village.
Interesting.
There's Americans, there's South Americans, there's people from Cyprus, there's Australians, Belgians. It's an international, they come in the summer and move in. It's just an international melting pot.
Any Italians?
Yeah, but fewer than you would think.
Yeah.
It's a bit like small town Ontario. So the house we bought, it was someone's grandparents' house. So they raised their family there. Their children moved out to another village, bought their own houses. They had children. The grandchildren moved out, bought their own houses. Grandparents pass away, and they say, we give this to our grandson, who says, I already have a house, like half an hour away, 40 minutes away. I don't need another house.
Yeah.
And so they just want to sell it.
Is that the big trend there? Like these smaller Italian villages, people just kind of leaving to bigger villages and cities?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the friends we've made in the village, there's a kind of a long pedestrian, road that leads up to the cathedral. And I was talking to him, and he said, when I was a kid, there used to be like 1,000 people live just on this street.
Yeah.
He said, our house, it's a 3-bedroom house. He said, there were 22 of us living in our house. He said, it was my grandparents and my parents and their brothers and sisters and us. He said, everyone was in this house. He said, now there are 4 people on this entire street.
Yeah.
And he said, it's my mama and me and 2 other people. And he's like, that house, somebody owns from Naples. That house, somebody owns from Belgium. That house, we haven't seen that person in 3 years. That house, we haven't seen them in 5 years.
Yeah.
And he said the whole village is now almost a holiday home.
Yeah, that was the big driver behind that big $1 property marketing campaign, right? Which I believe Italy started.
I think so.
And I think it's spread to other countries now, but I think it was Sicily that maybe started it, and then mainland Italy, they started doing it, which was you buy a property for $1. It was the marketing campaign. Often those properties were completely falling apart. It required much more than $1 to actually fix up. But, maybe some of them only cost $20,000.
Yeah, the big challenge that I've heard of with a lot of that is it's hard to find tradespeople. So our village has a gas fitter, plumber, electrician, all one person. And he does everything for the village, pretty much. It's hard to get somebody, an electrician from another village, because he says, well, call Mauro. Mauro's in your village. Call Mauro. He'll do it.
Yeah.
We have a stone...
Guy's got a monopoly over there.
Yeah. We have one stonemason in the village who does all the stonemason stuff in the village. So if you need something more than, just kind of regular repair, it's hard to get on their schedule or have it worked out.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, but your property was as is, completely fine, no renovation needed.
No renovation needed. We kind of funny. So we moved
renovation
into it.
Wants it.
Yeah. We added some lights to it. We put in a dishwasher. We changed out the kitchen. We upgraded some windows. So we have a balcony that comes off the second floor, and you could see the concrete cracking underneath it. Our mason speaks German and Italian. The electrician speaks Italian and French. My wife speaks a little bit of French, but zero construction French. And I don't speak any other language other than English. Yeah. So in this big game of telephone, I had said, that looks pretty bad to the mason. Like, it's all cracking.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, it's worse than you think. And I said, can you fix it? And he goes, yeah, I can fix it. And so he came, set up the scaffolding, just closed the road. There's no permits. You just put your scaffolding across the road, and it's now closed.
Yeah.
He supplied all the materials. He ripped it down, redid the whole underside, put up new drip edge on it. He was there for 2.5 days. And we said, okay, what do we owe you? And he goes, I'll come by Sunday. We'll have a beer. I'll tell you how much it is. Oh, wow. And it cost us.
And you're like, book the flight on Saturday, honey. Let's get out of here.
So, I said, like, we have to leave Monday. And he goes, well, you'll be back. Like, if we'll. Anyway, he came Sunday,
wow, that's cool.
And it cost us 180 Canadian.
Wow.
for him to do the work.
Holy smokes.
And it's top notch, just amazing.
Wow. Yeah. I guess it doesn't take too much to live there.
Well, the operating costs for the house over the course of a year are under 2,000 Canadian. For property taxes, insurance, high-speed internet. We have fiber internet right to the house.
Really?
We had a hard time finding it because none of the companies wanted to add more internet, but there was an upstart company that said, we'll do it for sure. Mm-hmm. And they ran over 1 kilometer of fiber through the village in conjunction with the electrical lines to get to our house.
Everything sounds great.
I know.
Don't hear any downsides yet.
Yeah, it's, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, my aunt and my cousin went for a month, had no internet because there was a 5-village internet outage for almost a month. Mm. So if you were going there and said, hey, I'm going to run my online business from there, you wouldn't be as happy if you didn't have internet for a month.
Yeah. And you're able, so how often have you gone there? What's the plan with it basically?
Real estate investing isn't always easy, but it can be relatively simple. And that's where the Rockstar Inner Circle comes in. Look, there's a lot of real estate investing information out there these days. That's why it's so important to pick your sources wisely. And even though investing isn't always going to be the easiest process, it does not have to be super complicated. That's where tried, tested, and proven strategies like the ones that Rockstar members use come into play. Everything shared in the Inner Circle is built from firsthand, on the streets experience in the current market. It's all up to date, things that people are actually implementing today. In fact, the ongoing courses are delivered live, so they're always up to date with the absolute latest real life experiences. As a Rockstar member, get ongoing access to over 20 different systems and programs covering things like which properties investors like and why, our private rental system, what opportunities the investors are scooping up in student housing currently, the legal side of investing, why or how to use corporations as an investor, a mortgage class with the absolute latest options and programs to build your portfolio as an investor because they're different than a regular home buyer. And there's a whole ton more in all those different classes. Of course, to implement all these strategies, members get access to unlimited private one-on-one coaching with an actual human experienced investor, not an AI chatbot, not ChatGPT or anything like that. It goes beyond training classes in real estate. It's a community for people looking to take control of their own finances, to give themselves options and allow them to live life on their terms. With ongoing live and virtual opportunities to connect, it's built for investors by investors. You can see everything members get at rockstarinnercircle.com/member. It's rockstarinnercircle.com/member. Now back to the show.
We just let people go for free, friends and family. We went for 2 months when we bought it. My aunt and my cousin have been for a month. My niece went for just about 3 weeks. My wife and her best friend went back for 3 weeks. My mother and I went for a month. We've owned it now 2 years. I'm going for 5.5 weeks with one of my best friends. My wife Kelly and her best friend are coming for 2 weeks of that.
Wow, that's really cool.
And so we just go when we can. And
yeah, for under $2,000 a year to own that thing.
Well, I had somebody say
that counts maintenance, all the costs.
Yep.
Wow.
So somebody said, why don't you just buy a cottage? And I said, well, this is like a cottage. And they're like, yeah, but it's in Italy. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, if I buy a cottage in Ontario, I'm going to spend at least $400,000. So if I say that with the repairs and everything else, I'm in $30,000 in Italy, and it cost me $2,000 a year to maintain it. Mm-hmm. A flight round trip to Rome, which is the closest airport, is about $1,000. We rent a car, it's about $1,000 a month. So if I'm going to go for a month, my cost per year is about $4,000 to own it and kind of get there for a month.
Wow.
And I said, I could do this for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
And I still haven't come close to the purchase price for a cottage in Ontario.
Yeah, even the down payment.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I guess the argument could be, depending where the cottage is and the person's lifestyle and schedule and freedom, they could be like, well, I could spend every weekend there.
Yes.
That would be the opposite argument, but I totally see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Like if you're planning on going there long term and spending significant amounts of time and, having friends and family and they're going to take advantage of it too, of course, it makes sense financially, it makes sense in every possible way.
Yeah. And since I did that, we've been sucked into the Facebook algorithm. So now I get, cheap Italian properties in Tuscany. and I get cheap Spanish properties under 30,000 euros, and Hungarian homes for 30,000 euros, and homes in France for 45,000 euros. So
Are these like rural kind of towns and villages in Europe?
yes,
Like similar vibe, like people grew up there and then now they've left for the bigger cities. Like there isn't the same work and economy there.
I haven't done a lot of research on any of the other ones, so I'm not sure really what that is. But I haven't seen any pop up and be 20,000 euros in the heart of Paris, or you could be downtown Florence for 35,000 euros. So none of that.
Of course.
They all seem to be smaller villages, a couple hours away from something. But we're 2 hours away from North Bay, where we live. And from our village, we're about 2 hours away from Rome. And I said to my wife, if we're going to drive 2 hours, I'd kind of rather end up in Rome than North Bay.
Yeah.
But when you talk to people in the village, they can't imagine driving 2 hours to Rome. Like you would have to stay for 2 days to recover from the length of that journey.
Yeah. Just a different lifestyle there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas here, it's like people will do it every weekend, right? Just to get a break from the city.
I used to live in Orangeville and work in Scarborough. I used to drive over an hour and a half.
Oh my God, you're right.
Every day.
Some people do that every day for work. Yeah. Just a different culture.
Yep.
Wow. More focused on living over there as opposed to working?
Way slower paced. Yeah. Particularly in the village. Now, many of them are retired.
Yeah.
But, when I was getting everything ready, I knew my niece was going, and you feel this sense of responsibility to make sure everything goes okay. So I had talked to our friend in the village and said, hey, how do I get in touch with the doctor in the village? Like, is there a phone number for an ambulance? Just in case I can tell her, hey, if you need an ambulance, here's the number. And he said, why do you need an ambulance? And I said, well, we don't, but maybe she will need one. He said, just go to the doctor's.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what if it's the middle of the night? And he goes, then go to the night doctor. Like there's a doctor shared by 5 villages. You phone the number and the doctor comes to you.
Yeah. And he's also the stonemason guy.
Yeah. And I said, okay. And he said, well, there's a doctor's office here. Just go. And I said, well, how do I get an appointment? And he goes, what do you need an appointment for? You just go. And I said, what time does he open? And he goes, well, he's at the bar having coffee at 7. So go there.
Yeah.
And when he leaves there, he goes to his office.
Oh, wow.
So it's just a different world.
Yeah. Very casual.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool, man. Abruzzo Rural Properties.
I think it's singular. I think it's AbruzzoRuralProperty.com.
Okay.
I don't get any kickback from it. It's a legitimate organization that I had purchased through. Very happy with the service. Awesome people.
And there's activities to do. Like what do you do while you're there?
So about a 20-minute drive, there's a 900-year-old nunnery with Roman ruins and kind of a nature area. Mm-hmm. You can go to Tourmaline. You can see Crusader Knights' tombs. So there's history everywhere.
Yeah.
Within the village, tons of people just spend the day sitting outside the bar, drinking coffee or beer or wine and talking and,
just living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're not too far from Rome. You're not too far from.
Yeah.
I mean, Italy's a small country, right? There's so much to see and do.
That's right. So our village is named San Felice de Molise, which is named after Saint Felix, and we have the body of Saint Felix in the new church, which is 400 years old, because the cathedral, which is 1,000 years old, is being renovated. Saint Felix Day is the 29th of August. And because it's the Holy Roman Jubilee year for the Catholic Church, they just take them out and walk them around the village. So we have to make sure we're there for that. I just want to see St. Felix take a wee bit of a walkabout.
Okay, just like the casket?
Yeah, with him in it, and it's a glass coffin, and
it's glass, you can see through it?
Yeah, it's covered in a shroud inside and such. But
okay, so you're not seeing Felix.
You can see part of him, yeah. But it just sits next to the pews. You can go see him every week if you want to when the church is open.
Yeah, and you're like, that's the can't miss event of the year. I gotta be there.
So when we talked to friends in the village, they said, oh, there'll be 10,000 people in the village.
Oh, wow.
For that day. Oh, it'll be packed. Yeah, everyone from all the surrounding communities will come. And I had a friend of mine say, well, that must really irritate the people that live in the village. And we said, no, because another, saint in the neighboring village will have a day, and everyone will go there to that village and celebrate there.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so it seems really attainable, actually. You make it sound so easy.
It was easy, yeah. So just because I like doing things in unusual ways, I wanted to buy the entire property before we went to Italy, which is possible. But we found out that we had to get the Italian document translated into English for the purchase and sale agreement. It had to be notarized. We had to courier it to Ottawa. Somebody had to carry it into the Ottawa Italian embassy, and then they would stamp it, and then it had to come back and get couriered to us, and then we had to sign it and had to be couriered over to the notary in Italy. So all of that cost was going to be sort of in the $2,000, $2,500 range. And so I called the realtor and said, can we not just do this when we get there on Saturday, the 10th of September? And she said, no, but you can do it on Monday, the 12th.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. She goes, okay, we'll do that then.
Wow.
And so instead of us closing on the 8th, which was our plan, we just closed on Monday, the 12th in person.
Yeah.
And I thought there's no point in spending $2,500 that we don't have to spend. So
Yeah, well, might as well book some flights for that,
yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah. Wow. So you got to see it in person, maybe before closing?
No, not at all.
Still didn't.
Nope.
Okay.
No, first time we saw it was when we unlocked the front door with the key.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, we owned it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big moment right there.
Yes.
What did we just spend 20 grand on?
That's right.
That's cool. So then how did Mexico come up, and why, if you already have the Italy spot?
We got permanent residency in Mexico.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Just because we could. In a lot of places, you have to, buy a certain amount of real estate or pledge money to the government or, kind of pay them a donation. In Mexico, you just have to kind of say, hey, I get this much money every month. Here's the proof of it. Or I have this much money in the bank account or retirement stocks. And if you hit those numbers, then they say, welcome to Mexico, and give you permanent residency.
And you don't need to own a place there?
Nope. You don't.
You don't ever need to buy a place there or spend a certain amount of time there?
No. With permanent residency, so we have permanent residency now. I could go all the time and live there 365 days a year if I want. I'm legally allowed. I could not go for 30 years and then show up as a permanent resident. There's no requirement to go every year for so many days. It's just once you have it forever.
So you can never be denied access into Mexico?
That is what I've been told, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that seems useful.
And
do you remember what the numbers were?
They've
for
changed.
Income or yeah. Do you know what they are now then?
I don't know what they are now.
Okay.
So my wife and I went through it at the same time. We both got our permanent residency visas, and you have to travel there within 6 months to get the card. Within that 6 month, my wife went to Italy with her best friend and had her passport and laptop and purse all stolen in Italy. And Mexico refused to replace the permanent residency visa. So they said, wait for it to expire at the end of 6 months, apply again. So in that 6 months, the requirement for how much money you had went up 15%. And then she applied and sent it in again, and they rejected it and said, no, now it's 6% more. And so we sent that back, and she got it. What I've been hearing now, and I don't know where it is because this was a couple of years ago, but they're now saying it's going up about 15% a year.
Oh, a year?
Just because it's set to...
Better own some real estate and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Got to keep up with that. That's a big hurdle rate.
Well, it's sort of set to the working wage for the average Mexican citizen. So you have to have so much money available to compensate for what the average Mexican citizen has to live on for a period of time. So they equate it directly back to say, if you're going to come here and live, you need to have enough money to support yourself, the same as anyone living in Mexico.
So what they're basically saying then is that the average Mexican's cost of living is increasing 15% a year?
Yes.
Is that denominated in pesos, US dollars?
Each embassy is different. So the embassy in Toronto has a different number than the embassy in Vancouver, and every US embassy has a different amount of money required, which is sort of odd. But they kind of get to decide that. And so, we had to prove a certain amount in Canadian dollars. And some of that, I think, depends on the exchange rate as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. Okay.
So once we got permanent residency, you have to have an address in Mexico to equate it to. So we had hired a facilitator who, kind of knew the process and where to go so that he could book our appointments and schedule it and get all the paperwork completed when we went down. So we didn't miss something because I also don't speak Spanish.
Of course you don't. So for the address, could you just do a PO box if you didn't have plans on actually buying a place there?
Well, the facilitator said, yeah, we'll just use my address. That's what everyone does.
Oh, God.
And so I said to my wife, like, that's great until, he relocates to some other part of Mexico or doesn't update it, or, we're like, yeah, that's our place. And, we get kind of caught with it.
Yeah, you and 1,800 other people.
Right. So I said, maybe we're better off to buy our own. And then we'll rent it out, cover costs with it. We have a place for when we go down there. We are right in Progreso, which is on the north side of the Yucatan Peninsula, right on the ocean, or on the Gulf of Mexico. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you bought a place.
Yeah. We went down for vacation on a month. I like real estate. So I'm like, we should just look.
Yeah. It's a problem leaving you alone on a Sunday, eh?
I know. Yeah, I've been married long enough to
realize. Couple cervezas, and you start feeling out the real estate market.
Yeah. So we looked at a whole bunch, and in Progreso, the property prices are increasing fairly rapidly. So I had done kind of a bunch of Facebook and research just to see what properties were selling for.
And what are they priced in? What currency?
Pesos. Mexican pesos.
Okay. So when they're increasing pesos, are they increasing in actual Canadian dollar terms?
In a lot of cases, yeah. And so a lot of the higher end stuff, not even higher end stuff, but they'll price it in US dollars as well.
Yeah.
So they'll tell you, kind of what it is in US dollars. Almost nobody prices it in Canadian dollars.
Yeah, I'm sure. So
now,
either US or pesos.
Yeah. And now in Mexico, unless you're a citizen of Mexico and a permanent resident isn't a citizen, you can't own directly within, I think it's 50 kilometers of the ocean or the Gulf of Mexico, or 100 kilometers within an international border.
What about the Gulf of America?
That's right.
Does that change things?
I don't know. There's lots of people that seem a little unhappy about the nature of the relationship between the U.S. and Mexico right now down there.
Sure.
But you can hold it through a bank trust.
Okay. And that's allowed?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that seems like an easy workaround.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can get within 50 kilometers if it's held in a bank trust.
Correct. So our property is 450 kilometers from the beach.
Okay. But 450.
Sorry, not kilometers, 450 meters.
Oh, okay, I was going to say.
I apologize.
Yeah, you took that real seriously. Okay, cool. Wow, it's 450 meters if you hold it in a bank trust.
Yes.
Is that like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge you got from your permanent residency guy that was helping? Like, how did you figure that one out?
No, it's been around since I think the 70s or early 80s, because a lot of people wanted to buy, and the Mexican legal structure prohibits it. That within that area it has to be owned by Mexican citizens. But there was from what I understand, there was a degree of dissatisfaction because property prices were just kind of kept very low, because nobody from outside the country who had the money who would want to come and live there could buy it legally. And so they created this thing to say, okay, what they're worried is, a whole bunch of Americans or Canadians are going to buy 300 miles of beachfront and then just take it over and do something else with it, I think. Mm-hmm. And so now it's held in a bank trust. So we pay $400 a year to the bank for the trust. They hold it, they update it, they do all the filings associated with it. And
so what is that like legal structure, a trust? So it's not like a corporation. So what does that mean? Like it's in trust for you personally, or in trust for a corporation? Like how does that work?
It could be in trust for whoever. So in this case, it's in trust for my wife and I.
Okay.
But it could be a Canadian corporation, for example. If I wanted to buy it through one of our Canadian corporations, it would be held in trust for that corporation.
So the only difference is instead of you personally holding the property in your name, it is held in trust.
Correct.
Of your names.
Right.
And that costs you $400 a year.
Correct.
Was there a setup fee as well?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but nothing too significant.
It would be under $1,000. I honestly don't remember.
It's a Mexican bank that it's in trust of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. So that seems like a pretty easy work.
Yeah, it was relatively easy.
Okay. Got it.
And just as
and not really like enforced, like they're not going to drive by and say, hey, this guy.
No.
This Canadian dude, this gringo, like 450 meters. What's going on?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Because all kinds of kind of international citizens own property around that area.
Okay. Wow. Well, that seems like such a silly rule if you can just get around it that easily.
Yeah, but I guess the Mexican government has control over the Mexican bank to some extent. So
Yeah.
they could say, hey, stop that or whatever it
Got
is
it.
if they're not happy with it. So
Yeah. Well, it seems like a good rule for them to have, to be quite honest, right? To protect their own interests. But it just seems silly if they're not actually enforcing the rule, I guess is what I mean.
Well, they enforce it as far as it needs to be in trust in a Mexican bank.
Sure.
There's lots of banks that do it, but yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then, what do you mind sharing what the purchase price was of that one, roughly speaking?
We paid 115,000 Canadian.
Okay.
It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. We added, doubled the size of the kitchen, added another master bedroom suite, built an external staircase, put a rooftop patio on with a palapa. We redid all the air conditioning, changed all the plumbing, upgraded the electrical and such.
So that was on top of the 115?
Yeah.
Okay. What's a palapa?
A pergola.
Okay.
Just-
That's what I figured, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, what type of property is this again?
Single family detached.
Okay.
So it's in a residential neighborhood, private pool. Yeah. All gated just within us.
Wow.
So
Very affordable.
it was, yeah.
Okay. And what's the nearest airport?
Merida.
Okay.
So it's on the north side of the Yucatan. Merida is about a half an hour away. Very big in arts and culture, lots of art galleries, lots of museums. When we were there for a month, we went and saw the Royal Ukrainian Ballet at the Merida Ballet Center. So it's just kind of a crazy community. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So for somebody that might not be like as well traveled as you or maybe as adventurous as you, like what's it like in Mexico? Because, some people are always like scared of like the cartels and the fact that it might not be safe. What's your experience actually been like?
So we had traveled sort of down Playa del Carmen and Tulum before. When we went back and thought, where do we actually want to end up? I did a bunch of research again. Merida and the north side of the Yucatan, which includes Progreso, is rated as kind of the second or third safest area in North America for major cities.
Wow.
So there's police everywhere. Like almost every street corner downtown Progreso has 2 police officers just hanging out on it. They have patrols up and down the Malecon on the beach. So you don't really see much crime that goes on. They have tourist police and environmental police and national police and state police and so they just all sort of overlap.
Yeah. Wow.
But
Former police.
Yeah. So we've had no bad experiences there at all. The history in Mexico and the people are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So there's, ancient ruins all around that you can go and see. The Yucatan is where the Chicxulub meteor hit and wiped out the dinosaurs and all life on Earth. So they have a museum dedicated to that. Tons of really top-end restaurants. Just a phenomenal Malecon and beachfront. And yeah, so we've had no bad experiences. I drive everywhere I go. So we rented a car and drove around Mexico. The speed bumps are crazy. Watch out for those. And but otherwise, yeah, you just have to get into the rhythm of driving like a local. They follow every place you drive in the world has its own rhythm. And once you get into the rhythm, you're okay. If you drive like you do in New Liskard all the time, everywhere in the whole world will feel terrible. But
yeah.
no,
it's like jumping in the deep end and you just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you're good, right? You start treading water.
Yep. Something we learned, not the hard way, fortunately, in Mexico, lawyers are sort of like paralegals or under. So if you do anything in Mexico, get a notario, like a notary. They're numbered. Apparently, there's only like 99 numbers that are issued. There's only 99 notarios in whatever area there is. But that's the top tier of the legal system. So they're the ones that can actually register property and do all the stuff. Coming from here, I had said, hey, I guess we need a lawyer. And our real estate agent said, no, I've got a notario. And I said, no, I don't need a notary. I think we need a lawyer. And so she said, no, that's not how it works. So different terminology.
Yeah.
And I know people that use lawyers And they're like, yeah, they never registered our property on title. Like they've never registered us. Like it's just a big mess. And they're like, well, they're lawyers. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Like that isn't who you get to do this. So.
Okay, cool. And so did you get financing on either the Italy place or this place? Did you look into financing, or was that even an option? I mean, the Italy place was so affordable, but the Mexican place?
We never looked into financing at all, no.
Have you heard anything about it, or do you know if it's an option really?
I see stuff pop up on Facebook saying, hey, you can, but I've never looked into it at all.
Okay.
I hear tons of people warning against or being very cautious with pre-construction condos because as you drive around, there's probably 5 abandoned projects for every completed project. And they said, yeah, that's because as soon as they sold enough of it, they stopped building, took the money and disappeared. I just, now, because we kind of have property there, I monitor a lot more of the Mexican news. And apparently there is a condominium project in Tulum that was built by a developer. They sold all the units. People moved in. An environmental group came in and took them to court and said, they had no permits to build here. This is turtle nesting ground. And the Mexican Supreme Court just ordered the building torn down and the beach remediated. And so that was part of this in one of the expat groups saying the people are going to lose are all the people that bought the condos because the developer's gone. And so they're going to come in, move their stuff, knock the building down, go find the money to spend somewhere else.
They have no legal claim.
Apparently
Well, I guess they do, but the developer's just gone.
Right. So that's what they were saying is it's really going to be the people that purchased those units that are in trouble. So
Damn.
So it's a little more Wild West, I think, than what we're used to here.
Yeah. I hope there's no turtles near you. Holy smokes. I like how they waited till it was fully built. Like they didn't see the cranes go up beforehand.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe the Mexican judicial system is a little more slow than you would expect.
Okay. So do you know roughly what your costs are offhand for the Mexican property in terms of taxes and stuff? Interested in that.
We actually haven't got a tax bill yet. We can't seem to find out what it is. The electricity costs are fairly expensive, but we are in the process of installing solar panels and battery backup right now. And so we should be able to come to where it's a net zero. So we'll kind of over generate electricity during the day and sell it into the grid. And then at night, we'll pull it from the grid. And they said it'll end up being almost neutral.
Wow.
So as long as the solar panels survive the hurricane seasons, then we should be okay.
Yeah. Is there a risk of hurricanes there? Is it?
Yeah, it gets hit just about every year with some category of hurricane.
Fair enough. But nothing that scared you off, clearly.
No, I mean, we have insurance. We're far enough away from the beach. We were able to buy hurricane insurance and we were able to buy flood insurance and, property damage and electronics.
Is it a newer build, the home?
No, it's probably 25 or 30 years old.
Okay. Just wondering if they had built it, over the years with better hurricane protections, higher ground, that type of stuff.
Probably not, but it's all cinder block construction. So it's a flat roof with drainage and cinder block, everything. The covered carport's all steel I-beams and square stock, and so.
So what's your plan with these? I mean, obviously, just go take some nice trips and stuff. Was this part of retirement planning for you, or what do we want our life to look like in the next 10, 20, 30 years?
Yeah, that was. So my wife and I had always planned on retiring. We love travel, and then just sort of traveling, spend 3 months here and 3 months somewhere else, and pop back and forth. And then we started acquiring grandchildren. So we have 2 young grandchildren now from our daughter.
Nice.
And it's just awesome to spend time with them.
Yeah.
I don't know that we will necessarily go live somewhere for 3 months anymore, but to go for a month and then come back and.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Hey, no worries. So that's what we'll end up doing is we'll go travel there and come back. And we really use Italy, for example. When we were there for 2 months, we used it as a home base. And then we took a 2-week driving vacation while we were there. Went up through Austria. Kelly wanted to see where The Sound of Music was filmed, and all the locations. So we went up there and cut through Salzburg and across up to the border of Germany and dropped back in through the north end of Italy. So.
That's really cool. Yeah, so you have these home bases now set up in these different countries.
Yes.
You've got like a little triangle going, right?
Yeah. So it just gives us someplace else to escape to. And
yeah. Do you think there'll be another lazy Sunday afternoon where you're going to pick up something else, or are you happy with what you got so far?
I'm always happy with what I have, but that doesn't mean I won't.
Yeah. You definitely are.
I know.
It's just a matter of time.
That's right.
So now you mentioned before we started recording that you're actually possibly looking at starting to liquidate the portfolio or possibly restructure things. So what's your thinking around that? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So my wife was in nursing for, I think, 36 years, just retired last week. And so, we're just trying to, Tom had asked a very poignant question at the last Platinum Group meeting, which is, do you really want to be crawling under houses and dealing with all this stuff in 10 years? Mm-hmm. And I thought, I really don't.
You said no?
So I thought, okay. And he goes, well, with 17 of them, you can't just decide next week I'm selling them.
Yeah.
And so
that's a good point.
He said it takes a while to get out of them.
Yeah.
And so that's really what we're starting is, we sold our principal residence to our daughter. She's going to move in there. We're taking over one of the rentals. We're going to relocate into that.
Cool.
And so we're helping our kids with houses. And then we're going to be listing them, figuring out which ones we have to sell in the order we want to sell them. And
so do you think you'll eventually liquidate all of them?
Yeah, that'll be the goal, I think.
Okay.
Is we'll sell them off and give other people an opportunity to benefit from them. And
Yeah. So then can I ask I guess what your thinking is around financing retirement? I guess so your wife just retired. I know you have your business still, but just how do you think about that? Because it's something I wonder for myself in the future, how will these properties serve me? Will I sell them off? Will I just try to pay down the mortgage and live off the cash flow and get a property manager? So it's something I'm nowhere close to, right? Yeah. I'm very early in my journey, but it's something I think about. So how do you plan on structuring it and living off of the wealth that you were able to accumulate over all these years of hard work?
So it's been something we've been thinking about a lot for the last 2 weeks because I went from growth mode to, how do I acquire enough cash flow every month to replicate my wife's salary and such.
Yeah.
So I think my goal right now is sort of live off about half of it to generate yield. So things that pay out 8, 10, 12, 14%. So try to find that just for cash flow for, paying for food and living. Mm-hmm. And then about half the portfolio into longer term growth stuff just to hedge inflation and stay ahead of it.
Smart.
So some land banking deals, things like that. I would probably put Bitcoin into that half as well, take advantage of some of the longer term growth, but no yield. Mm-hmm. And then just constantly rebalance the portfolio to say, where do we have to be on it?
Yeah. I guess that's what I'm wondering. How do you balance the stack of wealth versus the, income that you can use part or all of that stack of wealth to produce, right? I guess deciding between cash flow or store value is the big question.
Yeah. Well, I guess I tend to work it backwards and look at what we've been living off of for the last while.
Yeah.
And then I look at how some of our expenses will change. So as we look at selling the house we're in and moving into another property, it's going to be a slightly lower price point. There's some structures with that. And so I look at what our monthly expenses will be and then how much, we want. And then I try to build a cash flow component to cover that plus. Mm-hmm. And then the other stuff I say, okay, so if I take what's left and put it into long-term growth strategies, how much will I hedge inflation with that? Can I stay ahead of the, 8, 10, 12% I need to be to preserve the purchasing power and hit the end at some point without ever actually taking a bite out of the principal.
Yes.
So if I put it aside and live off the yield, then the actual principal always stays there. And if I put the other portion away and allow it to continue to grow and then take some of the growth, 50% stays in for long-term, 50% of whatever it is goes into the producing yield, then I'm able to increase the payout slowly over time. but at the same time continue to increase what I have out there working to hedge inflation. So
smart. So your thinking is protect your own income that way by allowing the stack of wealth to keep up with inflation to then produce the yield that you need off of that growing stack of wealth that you're going to continue to need as inflation raises the cost of living.
Yeah.
So just to keep up with it. And
I haven't done it yet. We'll see how it turns out.
No, well, the thinking is solid. The execution is the harder part.
That's right.
But that's cool. And then I guess, of course, I'm sure you're thinking about legacy planning and estate planning and passing down wealth in terms of that as well. Because if you never have to bite into the nut or the seed that's producing it all, you can pass that down as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
It's tricky business, right? Unwinding what you've built and entering in the next phase of life.
Well, and so what's crazy is everything you invest in has different tax consequences when you unwind it. So TFSAs are all tax-free. So you want, what I've been told is you want to swing for the fences in your TFSAs, put in things that have the maximum growth potential because all of that ultimately comes out tax-free.
Yeah.
But real estate has a tax rate when you sell it, which is different from interest payments on a second mortgage, which are taxed differently than, your RSPs than it is from, your just non-registered funds. So you get into something and some of it's return of capital and some of it. So within the broader picture, there's 100 little strings and you have to figure out because getting $10,000 out as an interest payment has far different consequences than getting $10,000 out as a return of principal from something like an Equiton. Because you have more of that $10,000 to live on from one than you do from the other.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is tricky, eh?
Yeah.
So how are you figuring that out? Just looking into the tax consequences yourself, working with an accountant to do that?
Yeah, I've been having ongoing discussions with our accountant, trying to figure out what to unwind and what makes the most sense.
And the timing of it too, I guess, right? Because if you sell it all off in 1 year, you're going to have a massive tax bill versus trying to spread that out.
Well, and because we're in a fairly small geographic footprint, if we listed all 15 at the same time, we'd end up competing with ourselves.
Yeah. It's a different angle of it too, eh?
So we want to...
got to drip it out.
That's right. So, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. Yeah. I guess when you think about how long it takes to build that up for yourself, all these different assets, and corporations and investments and partnerships, and I mean, you own your own business as well.
Yes.
That's a big part of it too. And corporate structures. And then you have pensions from when you were working and your wife is a nurse, and then Canadian government benefits come into that as well once you retire.
Yep.
Holy smokes. I guess it's your whole life, was involved in getting you into this mess. It's not a mess. It's actually a good thing because you have all these assets.
Yeah.
But you got to kind of unwind from this tangle of wires, right?
I feel like I would have benefited thinking this through 20 years ago rather than now. So I think had I not just did growth for growth's sake, and I think we've benefited from growth for growth's sake, but I think had I been a little more strategic and had a slightly better thought out plan about the long-term tax consequences when we pull stuff out, I didn't spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to unwind the ball of yarn when I was just making it a bigger ball of yarn.
Well, I know you haven't been looking into it for too long, just the last 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So it's kind of early to ask, but like off the top of your head, what do you think you would have done differently?
I think just knowing in advance. So for example, we have some liras, which are locked in retirement accounts. And in order to roll those out into a LIF, if they're Ontario, which ours are, they're provincially regulated, you can take 50% once you're over the age of 55 and roll it into your RSP. But what's left in the LIF, the LIF anyway, I think it's life income fund, could be locked in income fund, I don't know. But you have to take a minimum of just whatever, depending on your age, but about 3.3% and a maximum of 6.6% out of your LIF every year. And so something like a Greybrook, if it's left in there, doesn't have necessarily quarterly or annual yield. You might have the money in there and it sits for 4 years before they start doing return of capital or you have any free cash flow from it. But when you have to take out 3% every year, somehow you have to get the 3% to do that. There's no option. There's no choice. So you have to marry that in a LIF, either get it out of your LIF so you don't have to do it, or you have to marry it with another asset that will produce enough income and cash flow. And it wasn't something I had ever considered when I was choosing where to invest some of the funds in Greybrook. So a lot of them ended up in liras that now have harder, kind of abilities to break those down in order to roll it out. Because until you roll it into a LIF, you can't get any funds out of your lira at all. They're locked in. So you have to take that step in order to free it up and get any of the funds out. So
Interesting. Okay. So it's just matching up different investments with different government tax vehicles.
Correct.
Okay. It's just the government complicating things here. You did nothing wrong here, Darcy.
No, but I think
you got to play the game.
That's right. I think had I thought it through a little more, we might have allocated funds in different investments in different areas to make it easier long term.
Well, you're learning these rules now, but would the right move in hindsight be working with a financial planner? Would you have wanted to have done that then, I guess, 20 years ago?
Yeah, my challenge has always been, and I've said this for years, when I talk to my real estate agent, I should buy more real estate. And when I talk to my stockbroker, I should definitely buy more stocks. And when I talk to my life insurance sales rep, it's definitely life insurance is the way to go.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to find somebody.
You talk to Tom, it's Bitcoin.
That's right. So it's hard to find somebody with a 10,000 foot view who can kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle together to have it make sense.
Yeah.
And so that was a role that I always felt I took on myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing that I was perhaps not as well versed in what I should have been in all of those areas. So,
well, who could you go to? Would it be
that's the
a
challenge,
financial planner? And then you got to have somebody that, because a lot of your investments are kind of alternative investments.
Correct.
They're the typical financial planner is usually more involved in traditional financial planning, all the government vehicles and the S&P and
that's
equities
right.
and bonds, the 60-40, and definitely not new Liskard drug dens, right?
Yeah, exactly. Agreed.
Or Bitcoin.
And that's the difficulty is I don't know who you find who understands all of those. You can find people that understand real estate, but they may not be the same people that understand bonds or, international stock investing. And the people that understand that aren't the ones that necessarily understand Bitcoin or growth or the TFSAs and what you should hold in those. So
yeah, interesting. Well, if somebody's listening,
that's right. There's probably an opportunity.
There's your opportunity. Yeah.
So
just learn everything about everything. And
yeah. So now I'm trying to go about unwinding it and come up with the plan where it makes the most sense. Now the companion to something like a lira where you roll it into a LIF is if you're looking to say, look, I'm going to earn 10% a year in order to live off the yield. In a LIF, you can take out a maximum of 6.6%, I think. It goes up about 0.1% a year as you get older until you're into your late 70s, into your 80s. So if your goal is to live off 10%, the maximum you can take is 6.5-ish. So then some of your money gets trapped. So your LIF would continue to grow and get higher.
What a disaster.
It's a good problem to have. It
is. Yeah. It's just navigating it.
Yeah.
Have you tried plugging a bunch of this stuff into like ChatGPT?
I have not.
Okay. Have you jumped on the ChatGPT train yet, or the NEAI?
I have not.
Okay. So I just used it a lot for my tax return. And it's much more of a simple process than what you're going through right now. But I just found with all the moving parts and throwing in all my documents and my spreadsheets and asking, am I being too aggressive here? Am I being not aggressive here? Is there expenses that I'm missing? And it was extremely helpful for me to plug in all these inputs and get a big picture, high level overview. Might be something you want to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just given all the variables, its ability to process that information is like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe it works.
No, it isn't something I have ever played around with or tried in any capacity at all. So
okay, yeah. These days, it's just blowing my mind. I've paid for the chat premium version for a while, and it's gotten to know me. And the more it knows about me, I'm on this thing like an hour a day. I'm doing rockstar work through it. I'm doing personal work through it.
Okay,
at like minimum 1 hour a day, it's helping me with different tasks.
Yeah,
yeah. It's incredible, man.
I sit on a bunch of nonprofit boards, and we hired consultants, and the consultants came back with the report and said, okay, here's the report. And in all honesty, a lot of this was generated by ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
great.
took your interviews and fed it all in, and here's the advice. How would you explain this fundraising initiative to a Gen X? How would you explain this to a millennial? What how would you speak so that it would be understood by this generation?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So recently I've been getting rental applications, and I'll plug in all the credit reports, the pay stubs, the employment reference letters, the Verifast reports where I'm doing like bank checks on people. I plug it into chat. I say, here's the rent on the property. Here's the story. Here's the documents. Give me a summary and overview of it. Tell me what you think. And it'll summarize all that information for me, put it in a nice summary. And it allows me to process a lot quicker because I don't have to scan through each document. So I can scan through it. I'm like, okay, looks good. Then I might look into it some more, right? Verify it myself still. And then I'll say, usually I'm doing this for other investors, right? So I'll say, okay, now wrap it all up in an email, summarize it so I can send it to the investor with the whole summary.
Okay.
Right. And you still want to verify it, make sure, everything's accurate in there. But it's just speeding up my process by I don't know how much, just by plugging in all these inputs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I find where I've made some of my biggest financial mistakes in the past was not knowing the questions to ask. And so it's not seeing the blind spots that I don't even know are there.
Yes.
So I could see ChatGPT saying, look, have you thought about?
Yes, exactly. And you can ask it, what are the blind spots in my thinking? So that's something I've done as this thing's gotten to know me better and I've kind of trained this model. It's like, well, where are my blind spots in life? Name my top 5 blind spots. And it's the ones I've asked it at least have been like psychological, you know, things like, well, you think this and that's true, but what about this? Or you're kind of missing this and you're too short-sighted on this.
Okay.
It's really interesting. But for my tax return example, it was like, well, what am I missing here? What are my blind spots in my tax? What could I be writing off? And there were some expenses that it threw in that I didn't even know I could write off or how to properly write it off. And my accountant wasn't doing it unless I would have asked. And so, it threw those in and it got me a few extra $100 or $1,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so very proficient with that exact type of prompt or request.
Excellent.
Yeah. Cool. So Darcy,
I don't think we got to a single question.
No. I usually write up questions and then I forget about them all. But I just wanted to kind of cover your story and journey. I know you've been like such a long time Rockstar member. Yeah. And been so active in the community.
I get value every day from it.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I just wanted to ask you about your journey. The international properties is super interesting. And then you're like the full life cycle of somebody who started really, like 1993 is when your journey started. So that's, what are we at? So 25, 33 years. Yeah. Right. So it's like the full life cycle of a real estate investor, entrepreneur, now looking at maybe a transition.
Yes.
So it's just really interesting to hear how the journey progresses and what's coming for other people, right?
Yeah, there were times along the journey, I think everything that has now paid out felt like the wrong decision. There were times I regretted buying real estate, and you'd talk to Rockstar, some of the other members, you'd meet people at the Your Life, Your Terms events, you'd talk to people in Platinum, and they would say, we've been there, we get through it. So it's the support structure. We've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in investments gone wrong, and you feel like the dopiest bastard on the planet that you could do that. But I guess if you're not out there swinging at the pitches, you're never going to hit any either. So yeah. Well said. So it's about sticking with it and getting to the people that have the advice and can point you in the right direction when you need it. I certainly haven't done this alone. I reach out and get as much help as I possibly can. But it's been an adventure, not one that I'm upset that I went through, for sure.
Yeah, very inspiring, man. Very inspiring to hear it and kind of just see where you're at now because of the initiative that you took, I think. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Very inspiring stuff. Very interesting hearing about it all. And I know Tom and Nick love working with you, and I don't get to work with you as much, but it's been just a pleasure knowing you, and I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. I appreciate being here, and appreciate all the advice you have for Bitcoin and growth as well. So thank you.
Cool, man. Thanks, Darcy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.